Hey, 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 Dr. Minesha here, affectionately known as Dr. M, here with you. And I have Jessica Dorsey in the lounge with us on today. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me, Jessica. It's
Thank
such a
you.
pleasure. Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to diving into our conversation. Listen, your spirit does something so special. I
Oh,
mean, energetically. I don't know what you have happening in your private world, but even prior to you even coming on, I mean, when I tell you just the presence just fell. And man, did we have a time?
we had a time. We had a time. As soon as I logged
See,
in, it was just thick. The presence of God was already.
no. I mean, that's a language that is so universal. We don't have to know each other from growing up or none of that. But it was like when that presence come, boom. That's how I feel whenever, God returns. It's like, at the end of the day, everything surrenders. Nothing else matters.
Absolutely,
Nothing else
absolutely.
matters. Like,
Not
stop.
exactly.
Almost how society does when that bride gets ready to come down that aisle. Everybody just stand up and stop. Everybody look towards you. It's like,
Yes.
you know. So I appreciate that
Absolutely.
you knew exactly the posture. You jumped
Absolutely.
right in.
Worship.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's
it's just a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's
an honor to be.
refreshing. Oh, thank you so very much. And I just want to, for those of you who are listening for the very first time, I want to be able to kind of set the foundation and welcome you in the lounge. This is our peace driven universe where we are thought leaders, leaders of leaders who are called to serve. And a lot of times when you are a leader, everybody is looking to you for the answer, right? And so you have to be the strong one. And you are everyone else's place. And so the key is for you to be able to have a place to be poured into. So we hope that as you listen and as you continue to listen, that this be a place for you to grow and to heal and to really like get some divine insight and legacy level insights when it comes to who you're becoming, what you're building, and what really matters most to you. So with that being said, Jessica, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. I would love to hear your corporate background and the levels in which you worked in the corporate space and the problem that you are solving to add value to society.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Again, it's an honor to be here. I am Jessica Dorsey, and I am a military child. Now, I would say military brat, army brat, however you want to say. So,
Yeah.
I have been around. My father has traveled quite a bit. As a little girl, we lived in Berlin, Germany for a little while, and then made our way back to the States. So, my upbringing, I was actually born on Fort Stewart, in Fort
Yeah.
Stewart, Georgia,
Familiar.
there at the
Yeah.
military base there. So my
Mm-hmm.
whole upbringing has been military. That's been my whole surrounding. So after I got out of college, once I graduated, I said, I think I want to service the community, the military community. And I ended up
Mm-hmm.
working at the 42nd Medical Group out at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. And my father, that was the last
Wow.
place where he was stationed before he retired. So I did some medical background. I did front desk for pediatrics. I did appointment line. I did medical records. I did third party billing. I was really
Wow.
very hands on with the military community at large as they came in for patient care. And I worked directly with the PCMs. I worked directly with the nursing staff. So I did that for about 10 years. And
Mhm.
then the Holy Spirit started talking to me about creating my own nonprofit organization. And while I was right there working, the Holy Spirit gave me a ministry. It started off as a ministry called the Pink Society.
Oh.
And yes, the Lord gave me that, the Pink Society. So it really started off as a women's ministry where I was hosting women's conferences and things of that nature. And then it developed into a Christian sorority. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
but it's a nonprofit and do a lot of youth mentorship. I have been pretty much all over the world, including Nigeria, just really taking the love of Christ in these different
You go,
spaces and places.
girl.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
so I'm surrounded by women of God. And I gave them a platform and an opportunity to join a sorority where Jesus Christ is the main focus and the foundation.
Mm.
And so even though I'm proudly a part of Zeta Phi Beta, which is a D9 organization, I still wanted to give a space to women in ministry who may not have gone to college, may not have completed school, but this is a communal organization where women can come and utilize the gifts that God gave them. So I give them that
Awesome.
space to minister and have place to, give back to the community,
Yeah.
community service. So that's what I pretty much do, as well as, do some public speaking and youth mentorship. So I do quite a bit. But that's a
See.
little background about me. And I'm a mom and a grandmother. And
Grandmother. Oh my
I'm a
goodness.
worship leader, minister. Like, there's so many different spaces, but I give God the glory for it because He empowers me to do these things. And He also shows me how to balance, which is not always easy. So
Yeah, so
that's what
let's
I
talk.
do.
Let's lean in a little bit there,
Okay.
because, and I'll say this from a peace-driven leader sense: the word balance is a colorful curse word over here in the lounge because we
Yes.
know balance doesn't exist. Okay, but when you say
Yes.
balance, I translate that as harmony. The key is how you create this harmony because you can't really balance your kids and your time and all the things with your work. It's all important, right? But nothing's more important than you and your kids and your family. So it's not even, it's a fallacy to even try to balance them. It's about really creating this ebb and flow and this rhythm that allows them all to commingle and integrate into one beautiful piece.
That's beautiful.
So, I can tell that you have a level of understanding about what that really looks like because, you carry so many roles,
Yes.
grandmother, which I would have never guessed in a million years.
Thank
So
you.
grandmother and, multiple children. How many children did you say you had? So 3 children. Are you
Children.
married?
I am married, and then
A
together we
wife?
have a blended family. So all together we have 8 children together.
8 children. And how many of the children live in the home with you all?
Well, I have my daughter with me. My sons, they've already graduated out. So they're in
Okay, so you have
college.
adult children.
Yes, I
Okay.
have adult children, yes, and then we have a community that, kinda assists with the children, so we've learned how to have a blended family, structure,
Mhm.
with moms, and so, it's just
Yeah.
been very colorful, if you wanna say that. But we're
Yes.
learning at really that proverb that says, "It takes a village to raise a child." We lean on, family to assist with that as well, so that's how
Oh, that's
we function.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah, and you know what that says for me, and I would love for you to kind of unpack this because a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with high achieving, high earning corporate women who are leaders of leaders, I know for me it was difficult to let someone help, you know, especially when it comes to something as precious as your children. So
Yes.
how did you get to the point to where, I mean, family is family, I get that, but just because you're family doesn't mean I'm gonna just trust, with you with my
Mhm.
kids. And so
Right.
how did you get to that point in your journey where you, created that safety and that vulnerability and this culture where you felt comfortable to have your children there while you were doing purpose work or working or whatnot?
Yes. So for me, because it definitely is not easy. I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable in those spaces to lead their children, or have family to assist. But for me, because I grew up with my family, with my parents, they are very connected to God. Okay. So my
Hmm.
upbringing, I was raised in the church. I have a very strong foundation, a very strong love with God. So
Hmm.
because they imparted that inside of me. So I would
Hmm.
always want my children to go and be around my mom. My mom and them, they're in Alabama, so they're in a completely different state. But because my mom helped she raised me to be the woman that I am. I said I definitely want my mom to be instrumental with my children and my father as well, because they are so connected to God. So it wasn't hard for me to bring my children in that space because number one, I trust my parents, and that's big. A lot of people don't trust their parents because maybe they've had some really hard upbringings or abuse in the family, so I
Yes.
didn't have that type of upbringing. There was
Mm.
no abuse like that. It was love. And my father, he was a hardworking father. He's always been there, pouring back into the children. So it's easy for me to
It
say,
was an
okay, well,
easy it was an easy choice for you.
it was easy for me to be able to trust my parents to be there, um, in so many different ways. But Imma say, with other family now blending into the dynamic of a marriage where I have other family on the outside, it took a minute because I don't always,
Yeah.
I'm not very Imma be transparent right now, and I feel like I'm kinda stuttering a little bit because this is kinda like a touchy place, okay?
No, let's
But
go. Let's do it.
I'm not a very trusting person, okay? Only because I've been hurt a lot, with people that I've had close to me. So,
Mhm.
that's been a walk that I have had to walk out. If God is saying, "Okay, I need you to trust this person," then I had to do some inner work within myself because I know it's something about that person that my children need, something that they have.
That's
So
really good.
I couldn't allow myself and my inner fears or the
Traumas,
fact
yeah.
that I have trust issues to say, okay, no, I can't open up in that way. So I think we
That is
can kind
good.
of keep our children in a box when we don't deal with our own
That
fears and
that's
insecurity.
so
Am
good.
I? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
hands down. And I
Yeah.
really want that to I really want that to land for you all who are listening because I know that there is, especially a mom, speaking to our parent leaders, but specifically mothers, because as a mom, I can connect with that so much. I would actually remember the day that I had a conversation where my daughter was sitting in the car next to me and she's the one to help shift me out of my fear. It was a Christian camp. They were going to be gone overnight for over a week, and they asked me about the camp the year before. I had just moved to the town. I was like, absolutely not. And then the next time, I went and volunteered. And then the next time, I didn't have any other excuse to use. It was like, so my daughter was like, "Mom, you volunteered. You went. You said that like." At what point are you going to trust that God has us? At what point are we going to, you know, see, the answer prayers and, come, out of the mouth of babes, right? I was like, wow. And
Mhm.
so sometimes you're right. We walk into our traumas and we fear that, and then we keep these guardrails around our children, and they could be the very person that can change the trajectory of that child's life. And honestly, my children to this day, they have their own relationship with God. I'm so thankful because they
Mhm.
went to that camp. That camp specializes on igniting relationships for youth to ignite their own. I didn't even realize that at the time, but that's what they
Yeah.
specialize. And so
Yeah.
it literally was the one decision that catapulted their spiritual maturity to this day. And so we gotta get out our own way, we gotta get out our own
Yeah.
way.
We definitely have to get out of our own way. That's very big.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
another thing you said too that stuck to me is being able to trust yourself.
Mm.
I believe that sometimes somewhere along the way we begin to lose trust in ourselves. Maybe it's the decisions that we made and we lack self compassion and we're so hard on ourselves because we made what we consider a misstep, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
That makes it harder for us to trust our discernment. But lean
Right.
into that. Yeah, a mentor told me once that he said, if you look at the word mistake, it's literally spelled mistake.
Misstep. Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, mistake. So it's just like a movie. You take and aren't you an actress as well? Have you done some work around acting? I'm trying to remember our
I have
conversation.
done some acting. Yes, I have done some acting as well.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
you know about mistaking and just take two, take three.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, as
Yes.
many times as you need without any judgment. And that allows you to be able to gain more trust. So tell me a little bit more about the work that you're doing now. Like, what is your primary focus now, and what does that look like?
Okay, so my primary focus right now is to empower women. I do some holistic counseling as well. And I also host retreats for women to come get empowerment. So my focus is on I'm gonna say the BIPOC community as far as Black women, the collective, because we have so much pain, the unresolved pain that we have to deal with, even in our connection with one another. There's a lot of like I said, trust issues. There's a
Mm,
lot of jealousy and envy that can go on between just in the Black collective with females. So my heart is to really be an open book and to pour into Black women. I'm not just limited to Black women, but I feel more called to our women
mm,
because we're hurting so much. And I think
mm,
we focus all of our time and attention on trying to get a partner or a spouse that sometimes we don't look at the inner dynamics of the connection between each other and how sometimes we inflict pain on one another unbeknownst because we have unresolved issues. So I just hear a lot of women that say, I don't do women, I don't have a lot of
mm,
friends, my circle is very small, but yet and still we desire to have female companionship and friends. But very few of
mm,
us, even in the church, we go to church, we come home, and then we don't really connect with the people that we worship with because one, we don't trust people. So it's just we've been hurt in that dynamic. So my thing is, I really want to minister to Black women, give a space where they feel safe holistically to feel safe. They can take their titles, lay their crowns down at the foot of Jesus, and we can just be sisters. I respect you as
mm,
apostle, I respect you as prophet, but in this
mm,
space, it's okay for you to be Jessica. It's okay for you
mm,
to unpack that unresolved pain and just
mm,
be yourself. And I'm going to love on you. We're going to cry together. We're going to laugh together. We're going to hike the mountain if it takes us going to the
mm,
waterfall. If we want to, whatever we want to do, we're going to do that in the presence of God. So I take people, to the mountains because that's where God normally speaks to his prophets is in the mountain. So we'll do a mountain retreat. I know sometimes our community is not very open to counseling, but you can have counseling and Jesus too. You can
mm,
have holistic health because he wants us to be whole, body, spirit, and soul. And I tell people, I don't know why we're so afraid of that word holistic when it just means to be whole. And that's what holiness is. He wants us to be
mm,
whole. We're set apart, but holy. I'm telling people, hey, we're going to put the holiness in holistic so you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid to ask God to bring that healing so you can prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prosper. And that's what my mission is.
mm. Oh my goodness. Well said. Well
Thank
said. I
you.
love your
Thank
passion.
you.
I love your passion. I love just your stance. And I love how clear you are about your mandate.
Thank you.
And for those of you all who are listening, as we close on today, I really want you to be reminded that just as you can hear the passion in Jessica's voice, that God is giving you a passion. He's giving you something that is going to set your soul on fire. And only you know what that is. Even now, as you hear my voice, you know what that is. So maybe it's not starting your own charitable organization. Maybe it's a book, or maybe it's a business, or maybe you know exactly what's coming up for you right now. And so as Jessica is saying yes, may we hold hands together in this moment and let the courage that Jessica has had be infiltrated through the airwaves so that you know that you can say yes to your call as well. And you can do that being a mother of three and of eight in a blended family. You can do that married. You can do that with an extensive corporate background, military, whatever your landscape looks like. It just makes you even the more equipped to be able to do what you were called to do. So just remember, one of the greatest tragedies is not knowing your purpose. It's knowing it and not doing it. That's the greatest tragedy.
That's
It almost feels like turmoil, and my heart really goes out to leaders who have just caught themselves in this cycle of direct deposit. That they can't find their way
Jesus.
out. And so we're really speaking to you on today and letting you know that this space is the beginning of you creating that new normal of what it means to excel in the corporate space while taking those steps. You don't have to choose. You don't have to leave. You don't have to abruptly escape, and you don't have to do that. You can put a plan together to where you can actually go and do what it is that you're called while still working. And
Absolutely.
so if you had to leave the people with anything today, Jessica, what would you leave the people on today?
Would leave them with step out of the boat, step out on faith. Have that Peter faith. I know the waves may be crashing. I know the storms may come and the tempests may blow. But if you keep your eyes on Jesus, He's going to give you, He's going to bid you to come. And all you got to do is follow Him. Step out on faith. Follow that dream, because all of those dreams, everything that God has given you, is on the inside of you, but He's going to give you direction on what to do as long as you keep your eyes on Him. So get out the boat. You can't manifest your dream staying there worrying about what the naysayers have to say. Get out, and
Mm.
even if you feel like you're sinking, just keep your eyes on Jesus, and He's going to uphold you with His mighty hand. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, you heard it here, you all. It's Jessica Dorsey. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
words of wisdom. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you all. Listen, this place is not, it's a place for real leaders, real who want real transformation. And peace-driven leadership is not some grandiose, so big idea. It's a real embodiment that you can experience right here in the here and now. So if you are looking to live a life of true presence and peace, then know that it's not something you find, it's something you create. And this is your moment to create it. Peace is not a luxury, it is the new standard of leadership. Welcome again, and thank you again. We look forward to seeing you next week on the
Thank
next podcast. Bye bye for now.